Hi, this is Mark. Congratulations. You have found this amazingly awesome show. Chances are you're listening to it right now on whether it's iTunes or Stitcher Radio or some other mobile app that allows you to stream this amazingly awesome show to your ear holes. And I can't stress how awesomely amazing this show really is. But did you know that you can also catch the latest episode of this show on the Tangibound Network? That's right. Go check out tangiboundnetwork.com. You can look them up and you can listen to it right there. It's even mobile friendly. What more could you ask for? Which means you can pull it up on your iPhone or your Android, even your Windows phone. Yeah, who has one of those? But still, point remains, you can do it. You can do it. Check it out, tangiboundnetwork.com. Listen to this show, the latest episode, every time. Check it out.
Life sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time. Stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to the Crazy Life, everyone. My name is Jen. I will be your hostess for the evening, as most evenings on this podcast, hopefully in 2017. With me, as always, is Brian and Henno. Hey, guys.
Howdy.
I was just fighting off the urge to do a little...
I've had a sinus headache for the last 3 days, but I am here supporting my fellow podcast mates and my audience.
And I thank you for allowing us to postpone from last night.
Right.
Absolutely.
When
Henno had to shovel miles of snow, it looked like.
I think Henno cleaned out the state of Idaho.
That's what it felt like after I was done.
Oh, I bet. Oof.
Oh my gosh. And
I was like, I'm just gonna go until the snowblower runs out of gas. That's what I said.
Right.
And it didn't run out of gas until I got all of it done.
Oh
and
my gosh.
Like the last third, I started getting hungry, and but I was just in the zone. I'm like, I have to do this.
Yeah.
If I wait another day, it was wet and heavy, and we were going to get down to 0 today.
Oh,
and it was like, this is going to turn into a slab of ice if I don't clear this now.
Right.
Absolutely. And at least you had a snowblower.
Yeah. But it was, it was like literally a snowblower run, take the shovel out there, break off chunks, line them up in front of the blower, then blow, and then go back, break off more chunks. But that snowblower rocks, and it's like some totally off-brand cheapo Home Depot, and like it had amazing reviews, and guess what? It earned them.
Oh, wow.
I think it's paid for itself this year, but yeah, I'm just like, my brain is done. Like at the end of the day, I'm just done. I was in bed like at 9 last night.
Right.
It's just been a lot of hard work, and it feels good. It feels good to do it, but I just don't even have a lot. I just don't have a whole lot left.
Yeah, I bet.
That's a good day when you can, you give it your all mentally and physically, and you can lay down in bed and just be tired.
Yeah, it really is. It's just the funny part about it is I feel like I have this level of amnesia because I'm like, I know I have total wins for this week, but I just don't care. Like they just don't matter anymore. I'm just like, eh.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your win,
It's
Hanno.
weird.
Your win is that you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's amazing when I'm not, like, when my brain isn't going overdrive and I'm over talkative.
Oh, we'll get it out of you today. We'll find a way.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, why don't we start with you and give Hanno some time to think about his week. How was your week? How's it been?
I mean, we've had various weather coming through here too. Ours has been warmer and rain though. Like we've been getting dumped on with rain, which don't get me wrong. This time of year, I'd rather have the rain than the snow for sure.
Absolutely.
The problem is that it rains like crazy and then it gets really cold at night. So it has been, kind of freezing over, but then it warms up the next day enough that it's melted somewhat. But for me, the problem is more that it just wrecks my sinuses. Whenever we have systems like this that come through because they're so different. Like if we had a snow system come through, it doesn't seem to bother me as much for whatever reason. But when rain comes through, because there's the whole pressure change and the precipitation, then I'm just a mess. So the last few days I've been, like Jen said, with her, having sinus headaches. I've been dealing with those, pretty bad. So it actually, I actually had to cancel on Monday. Tony and I were supposed to record with the Graphic Novice guys, and I had to postpone it because I had a bad migraine or sinus headache. I'm not even sure which it was because like my whole head hurt. So it was one of those. I was nauseous, and I'm just gonna lay in a dark room and hope I fall asleep because if not, the nausea is just awful type of things. So yeah. It's really sidetracked me this week because, I still haven't made my therapy appointment yet. And,
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
We're going to keep you accountable, buddy.
No, it's fine. I just haven't, and again, I can do it while laying in bed. I have my phone right there. I could just call and in 5-10 minutes I'm done, but I just have not felt like it because my head's just hurt too bad for most of the time. So, hoping tomorrow, I can finally get up and do this. I don't want to keep putting it off. I need to do it. So, yeah, sorry I don't really have anything real big for the week or not even like small wins or something. I kind of feel like I've moved backwards this week.
Well, sometimes you need to take 2 steps forward and 1 step back.
Yeah.
That's how opposites attract.
Right. Except.
Isn't that how it goes?
Yeah.
What?
You're like getting up and dancing. With that, wasn't there some sort of an animated creature in that video?
Yep. MC Scat Cat. Yep.
That's right. That was his name.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. 2 steps forward and 1 step back. We come together because opposites attract,
And that's all we can play without getting sued.
Folks. Yeah. I know it.
Oh, jeez.
A couple of my wins for the week are actually making those phone calls.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I tried everything not to make the phone calls. I tried chat. I tried email. I tried everything. And eventually I was just like, fine, I'll call. Guess what? Still didn't work.
Oh, you know what? I forgot about that. I think my doctor's office actually might have a website I can make my own appointment on.
Nice.
I'm gonna have to look at that. I'm gonna have to look at that because if so, then I'll do that. It's so awful.
Anything to avoid human interaction.
I just would have done anything not to have to talk to somebody because A, I know they're stupid, and B, they're not going to be able to help me.
Right. Like mine's not that way, at least. I'm like, hey, I need an appointment with this person. Here are the available dates. Which one do you want? That one. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
God. Terrible.
It just as I'm doing it, like, so I'm sitting down, I'm making the phone call and I'm feeling good. that I'm doing it. And, I'm trying to be patient and understanding until they start being stupid to me and kind of lawyery, or I'm like, but then when I get done, and a day goes by, I just laugh and I think about our conversations about how, this is not a big deal to make a phone call.
It is
I just
absurd.
Don't want to.
Yeah.
And that's the big deal, is that you don't want to. And it's trying to get yourself to do things that are not pleasant, but you have to do them anyways. And it really is. It's adulting, and adulting in its worst form.
True.
I don't wanna, but you gotta.
So true.
Yeah. It's, what I find really funny is, I'll put off making these phone calls and stuff. And then when I call, the first thing that answers is it's an automated system, right? And then I immediately am enraged because I have to deal with an automated system. And it's like, which way do you want it here? Do you want
make up your mind, dude? That's hilarious.
That's just because the automated system won't give you what you want.
It's
the
true.
Automated system, you hit 1 to make an appointment. 1.
Yeah.
You want to come in at what day and what time?
Yeah.
And it gives you like 3 options.
Right.
Perfect. I'll pick that one. Done.
I think, and that's really what it is that, the reason that I think most of us hate the automated systems is you have to wait through things. Like, when I call, I have to listen to, if you'd like to hear this in another language, put this in. If you're wanting to do this, and it's like, why aren't the most common things the very first things,
Right. I do appreciate, though, their number one is, if this is an emergency, hang up and dial 911.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Right.
Because, sometimes you don't think about things like that. And
yeah. It's like, my arm's half off, but I'm going to call the doctors and see if I can get in tomorrow instead.
Right.
I got tape on it. I'll be all right. I rubbed some dirt on it,
Duct tape a spoon to the side of it to hold my broken bones together.
Right, yeah. Well, the spoon, if you angle the spoon right, it works the way that the ball and socket works.
It goes right in your hand.
Yeah, so,
For a broken wrist, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it keeps you right where you need to be. Yeah. So, yeah.
Save yourself that emergency room charge,
Yeah, just get a bunch of tape and a big spoon. This feels like a terrible YouTube series.
Fixing broken bones with household appliances?
Well, just whatever's around the house, Like, are you tired of paying those high hospital bills? Well, so was I.
I did see a very interesting YouTube video on how to take a large Band-Aid and fit it to every cut and or issue that you may have. Yeah, it was really interesting because he showed, just take like a regular rectangular Band-Aid, buy a big rectangular Band-Aid, and only use that Band-Aid. The rest of them, you can get rid of them. Because this big Band-Aid, you can use every single, like you can do the butterfly Band-Aids, you can do the thumb, you can do the knuckles, you can do whatever you want. You can do with this big Band-Aid. It's all in how you cut it.
Right.
It's very interesting.
Makes sense. Yeah, I prefer paper towel and, masking tape or duct tape. So,
Right.
Electrical tape.
Or electrical tape. It just depends on your surroundings,
Yes.
Yeah.
What you have nearby to just quickly give it a wrap.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, my week has been interesting because since we closed on the house, we get the keys tomorrow, which is awesome. Very excited. So the packing has begun. I have lots of boxes throughout my house, and my cats are very upset about the whole thing. They're not fans of the idea of changing their lives, but it's all going to be for the good. And then we get to see our puppy for the first time tomorrow. Don't get to take chance to take him home, but so I will have a puppy and 2 cats, a full household.
Yep.
Lots of things for me to take care of, but also to help me with, anxiety and stuff, because the puppy can sleep in the bedroom because my husband is not allergic to dogs, just cats.
How convenient. No.
I know, right? So I can have my creatures with me at all times, which is very beneficial for my anxiety.
Definitely.
Especially when he's not home and stuff. So
right.
Always a good thing.
If he's not home, just let the cats in there. Yeah, sure he won't notice.
Yeah.
He won't notice when he's sneezing.
Nah. Just tell him it's dust.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that. Were you playing around under the bed again?
Yeah. But like, I was eating something with a lot of pepper in here.
Just, whatever. But no, I've been sleeping really, really well. Ever since we signed the contracts and the paperwork and everything and closed on the house, I've been sleeping incredibly well. I've been getting, pretty much 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, which is where my normal is.
Right.
So for some people, that's a lot of sleep. For me, that's my normal amount of sleep that I'm used to getting. So that's been really good. And everything's kind of settling down for me. I'm kind of coming back to myself. I'm much more alert, much more animated and vocal. I was getting really kind of quiet for me, which is still talkative for most, but quiet for me. So, and kind of introverted. So much so that when my best friend was in town, she commented on it. Mm. She's like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "Yeah," in my head.
Yeah. So
now that things are starting to settle down, I'm starting to get in the groove. So I'm feeling pretty good. So, and lots of exciting, fun things in front of me. Lots of hard work and lots of people and busyness, but it's gonna be good. It's gonna all work out like it's supposed to work out. So.
Yep.
Well. So if you guys had the 3 wishes, what would you wish for? The age-old question.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we're assuming that more wishes is ruled out, right?
Yes.
Because that's like dirty pool. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I just go with the top 3 Miss America pageant answers?
Yes. I will allow this.
I would like world peace.
Nope, they cannot be. They have to be for you.
I would like all the animals in the world to live forever.
Especially the furry ones. With the cute faces.
Oh, if they all lived forever, it'd be terrifying, wouldn't it? Can you imagine the insect issues? Oh. Because they just keep breeding and breeding and breeding. Be
awful.
Terrible. Yeah.
So, when posed with this question, the typical ones, I think we all could use more money. Mm-hmm. More money would be nice. Mm-hmm. Doesn't solve all the problems in the world, but it does make life easier in a lot of ways.
I've heard more money, more problems, but
this is true.
I think if I was I wouldn't outright wish for more money, but it would be kind of cool to just wish to win not the lottery, but a lottery, meaning that it could be $50,000, it could be $1 million, who knows?
Mm-hmm. It could be a $5 pool.
It could be.
Pool.
Yeah, it could be. But it'd be that way. It's not so like I'm guaranteed to be rich. I think that's why I've reached a point in my life. I mean, like, if you were to ask me if you did win the lottery, what would you do? Mm-hmm. And now if I said, okay, now instead of winning the lottery to do those things, what if you could do those things with just wishes?
Yeah.
Like I'm not the whole idea of like, oh, if you could wish for anything, it's like, it's so endless.
It really is. Yeah.
It is.
I like limitations today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like things that remind me that I'm a human being, I guess.
Not to mention,
I can see that.
People like us, I know, I don't think we should have, all the money in the world because it's probably going to be gone really fast. Heno's going to have a ton of microphones, and I'm going to have a bunch of Funko Pops. So,
Yeah.
I will have multiple cat houses.
right.
Not the prostitution kind.
Oh,
Actual
now
feline.
I'm
cat
less
houses.
interested now then. Yeah.
I would adopt the world's populace of cats.
You know, like realistically, would I ever wish to be able to drink like a normal person? I don't know.
Would you?
Yeah.
I like my life as it is today. Would I, what are the consequences of wishes?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yep.
Because every choice you make has a consequence.
I believe that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree too.
I think that's why the genie always tried to trick the person.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a great show on TV right now that's actually I don't know if it's a remake per se or a revisitation, but it's called The Librarians.
Mhm.
And I highly recommend it. Highly, highly recommend it for those out there. And the whole purpose of it is all of these artifacts, magical artifacts exist in the world. Magic exists in the world, but it's kept secret from the populace because it would be dangerous because magic has a side effect. Basically, whatever positive that it gives you, there is always a consequence or a side effect that you have to deal with. And people never anticipate that and always misuse the magic. So these librarians go around collecting these magical artifacts to keep them out of harm's way, basically, and to protect people. So it's very interesting, and it's very comical and very easy watch. So I highly recommend that. But you're mentioning about consequences for the actions. Always, that's what harkened me back to that TV show. But also good-looking people on the show, I must admit.
What? Good-looking people on a TV show? Stop it.
I know, right?
That doesn't happen.
Oh, what's her name? That's married to Jerry O'Connell.
Rebecca Romaine.
Yes, Rebecca Romaine is on the show. Who is a fine specimen of a woman.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So, on that note, where I'm going with the question is, we did lose a very proud, outspoken woman in our celebrity world this last week. We lost Carrie Fisher. And for those who are Star Trek fans, of course, know her as
What? Star Wars.
Did I say the wrong one?
Yep.
Indictment.
I'm sacrificed. Sorry. Star Wars. I was doing so well. I'm a Trekkie, folks. I am not the worst person. I am a Trekkie. I'm sorry. But Carrie Fisher is very outspoken about bipolar and depression and mental health, and has been for many, many years, because it's been a lifelong struggle for her, and she's been very open about it, and we owe a lot to her in helping to bring it to light, the mental health cause and all the work that she's done towards that. So, that being said, it's not just Carrie Fisher that has done so much for the mental illness awareness and things like that. There are a ton of celebrities out there, and even more that haven't necessarily, quote unquote, publicly come forward as having mental health issues. But so far back as Edison and even Abraham Lincoln, it has been proposed that they dealt with depression and bipolar and OCD and all that stuff. So my question to you guys, or I shouldn't say question, what I wanted to talk about is how being a celebrity versus being a layman, the differences between the two, and better or worse, you know, because they have the money to help them get help, which is a good thing. But on the downside, they don't have the support system that a layman would, because they don't have the ability to trust as much as we do. Because there's not as many people out to get things from us. So, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, it's interesting, too, because in a lot of ways, their situation with being a celebrity is an isolating situation. You know, because they just can't go out and do things the same way that we can, you know, because they'll get bothered by paparazzi or just fans or whatever. So if they do have any sort of a mental health kind of thing, it can lead them to potentially want to just stay indoors, you know, and, you know, but you're right, you know, they have the money to get the best of whatever they need at times. But as we all know, it isn't necessarily having access to healthcare or whatever that's a lot of people's problems. It ends up being just being able to take that step, you know, and like you said, you know, a lot of people around these celebrities are, you're fine. You just, you know, whatever, you're not, you know, this kind of stuff. So that stuff probably gets, poo-pooed with them because, you know, people around them don't want the money train to stop, essentially, you know?
Right.
Not always. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of people that, you know, that's why, you know, some of them you'll see keep like a sister or a brother or something like that, you know, or their childhood friend, somebody that they knew them before they were rich to kind of be their grounding device, you know?
Exactly. I don't know. It's tough because when I stop and I look at so many people coming out and speaking out, it is becoming the flavor of the month as far as causes. So, you know, I will own that. So, which makes it a little bit more difficult sometimes to be as empathetic and sympathetic.
Yeah.
When I know I probably should be more.
Well, a lot of times it doesn't come out from a celebrity unless it's after they do something crazy, you know?
Right.
And by crazy, I mean like air quote crazy, like something that's, you know, then all of a sudden it's,
Spears.
Yeah, it's like, then it's, then it's this. And it isn't that that's not true or it doesn't exist, but it's like, I think a lot of it is we've seen how many celebrities have we seen go to rehab over the last few years for exhaustion or, I don't know, take your pick, whatever it is, whether it's mental health or it's alcoholism or whatever. And it's like, you know, there's probably some of that in there too, but it's probably, sometimes it's not the root cause, you know, like they've probably got something else that's causing the crazy behavior. And I think you garner sympathy with the media and stuff by doing the others. But again, there's plenty of times where it's been true. But the ones that I've been really appreciating in ways have been the ones like you said, like Carrie Fisher, who is, once she was diagnosed, has basically been like, hey, I have bipolar. This is me. Deal with it. And, you know, people like that, or like recently, you know, Kid Cudi, the rapper, he came out and said he has depression and stuff. The Rock has talked about how he went through bouts of depression, you know, stuff like that. And I think those things, it's to show people, it's like, hey, look, I know you see me as someone who has the world by the, you know,
string.
Yeah. But at the same time, you know, I'm still human. Like, you know, mental illness or alcoholism, all this kinds of, it strikes people. So as long as they're still people, they can still be struck by these things. You know?
And it hurts just as hard, if not in some ways worse.
Or different.
In some ways, but easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
just differently. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think Catherine Zeta-Jones is also another one that I was really impressed with, because when she talks about it from a British aspect of things, and the stiff upper lip. I can talk. But, and how you don't own when something's wrong.
Yes.
You know, you suck it up, you deal with it. Right. And, so it adds a whole nother spin to what she had to go through. You know, a quote that I was looking for from Robin Williams. There's a couple of them that came up here. Not the one I was looking for, but I'll find out. He said in one of his movies, "I used to think the worst thing in life was to end up alone. It's not. The worst thing in life is to end up with people that make you feel all alone."
Yeah.
And I think that sums up a lot of probably what celebrityism does to people. And I can see that feeding mental illness. As we've talked about on many occasions here on the show, it's a demon that feeds on alone and isolation. Mm. And the more you isolate, the more it feeds and the stronger it takes you. So if you're a celebrity and you have a hard time going out like you were talking about, and you have a hard time leaving the house and have a hard time trusting people, I can see this being an all-encompassing, horribly hard demon to fight.
Yeah. And there's been, over the last couple of years too, there's been a variety of actors and stuff that have come out and talked about like their social anxiety, how like even going to auditions and stuff like that has been really hard for them because, you know, you're putting yourself out there. Like you're completely putting yourself out there in an audition, you know? Mm-hmm. And basically you walk into a room with X amount of people who look pretty much like you, who, you know what I mean? So it's like you constantly can be facing the not good enough mentality. Like if you keep getting passed over for roles, you know, it can feed into things too. So it's, you know, it is really, it's just so important to listen to people. It doesn't matter if they're a celebrity or if they're, you know, just a regular person. There, you know, it's just, it's great that more and more of them are talking about it, especially the ones that, like you said, with like Catherine Zeta-Jones or mm-hmm. like Kid Cudi, because being an African American, it's not addressed the way it is with white people. You know, white people are more open about these kind of things. And he even talked about that when he was opening up about it, about how that's part of the reason why he kept it to himself, was it's not okay. You know, it's not acceptable. Plus, you know, you're taught to be a man. You know, you can't show weakness. That's not cool. That's not what men do, you know? So there's that stigma as well, you know, and, it's everybody who kicks at that door, you know, is helping the cause, even if it doesn't matter who it is, you know? Yeah. So that's why I'm always
like the flavor of the month or whatever. It doesn't matter as long as the attention is going to the right spot.
Yeah, exactly. As long as it's, you know, like you said, as long as they're not just doing it for some sort of a publicity reason, that they're doing it because they want to make a difference with the soapbox that they've been blessed with, you know?
Yeah.
Because even though anyone can do a podcast and we're sitting here doing it and whatever, it's like, there's still a limited reach for what we do, you know?
True.
And the ones with the bigger soapboxes have potential to reach a much, much bigger crowd. So it's so important for people who are in those positions to help too, if they can.
Absolutely. What about you, Henno? Is there somebody that has really kind of inspired you or struck you as interesting in what they're doing with their celebrityism and mental health?
See, I'm kind of ground central to a couple of like huge names, and one of them being Marilyn Hemingway.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right.
You know, besides being just an award-winning writer, amazing writer, and dealing with mental health and her family's mental health.
Sure.
I mean, I've mental health issues run along with recovery issues, you know, pretty much hand in hand. Mm-hmm. And as a result, I've been to a few more funerals in the recovery community than I ever have in my life, for people who made a choice.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, because I live in an affluent community, the people they themselves, they may not have been celebrities, mm-hmm. but they came from affluence, and they were well known, and they kept always getting that question of like, oh, well, what's wrong with them? They have
Yep.
so much money. Why
Yep.
can't they fix this?
Exactly. Yeah. Like Jen said earlier, you know, money doesn't fix this problem. It can help. It makes it easier to seek treatment, to get drugs for it if you need them, but it doesn't do the work for you.
Well, and the reason is because, and this is my experience with people who let's just say they don't have to work.
Mm-hmm.
They have whatever trust funds or they're just in a position where it's not that crucial for them. You know, like basic living has been provided for them. I don't want to make it out like they're uber wealthy, but there are people that I have known for a long, long time who don't need to work to change because they have no bottom. They have no consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in a lot of ways, they have nothing to give them that check or that moment of clarity that I can't do this anymore.
It almost sounds like a limbo situation, you know, it's almost like they have nothing to gain, but also nothing to lose by just drifting, you know, like life's just going to keep going because like you said, their basic necessities are met. So they could just drift, you know?
Well, and they take on things, they do things, they have, you know, periods of time where they, you know, they're on their meds, they're, you know, getting therapy, they're excelling, they are just becoming an amazing member of the community because, well, they have lots of free time and they can do whatever they want.
Right.
Do a lot of volunteer work, and then the next 6 months is back in the bottle, back in the pills.
Yeah.
And I've seen that enough where this is the part where, you know, it's a great way to start is like, what would you wish for? Okay. If I won the lottery and I didn't stay sober, I'd be one of those statistics.
Yeah.
You're dead in a month and a half.
Yeah.
If that. Maybe even in a week. I mean, you know, I think my body's strong enough to last longer than that. But I mean, I would be, and I get why it happens. You know, it's like, be careful what you wish for. You know, don't compare your insides to other people's outsides.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, if I had that money, I could get all the treatment I needed. I could get all the help I needed. I would have the resources. No, you still have mental health issues.
Right.
Or you still have addiction.
Right.
Yeah.
And that money then would afford you easier access to demons as well as the other stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Or I don't want to do anything and leave me alone. And yes, these people have, you know, for the most part, people have families. Mm-hmm. But even those families become a part of, they're not part of the solution perhaps, because also my experience, and this is just a lot of it's just a reflection of the community I live in, you know, and I've seen people face to face who are truly, they're doing the best they can, but they're suffering on a daily basis. There's these are not new family dynamics, or they're not, I mean, they're dealing with the same, call it nagging or the same, you know, complaints for 20 years, 30 years. You know, that's not helpful either. And especially when the source of their, you know, ability to get by or their affluence can sometimes be kind of held over from them, you know, as like ransom.
Yeah. Like,
okay, only if you know, you need to start seeing a therapist or you need to blah, blah, blah. And once again, my experience is making somebody go do something that's not the solution. Right. They have to want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know,
absolutely.
So that's why that, you know, I'm taking a different kind of spin on it.
Mm-hmm. No, that's awesome.
You know, so in effect, when you finally do have that celebrity who is able to get through it, get past it, and is willing to speak up about it, think about how many didn't make it.
Yeah.
You know, and that person, their impact is huge. And potentially, like, even just listening to podcasts when I hear about celebrities, oh, you know, I just, you know, listen to, you know, Margaret Cho talking about food issues or, whatever it is. And I can relate because I can relate to the struggle. I can relate to the pressures. I can relate to those things.
Yeah.
And I go, thank you for being out there and speaking up. Thank you for, saying, I'm fed up. I'm going to do something about this.
Yeah. Well, because if nothing else, this is why it's so important for like people in those positions when they have like that spotlight on them to help people be aware of it. Is like, there's how many people deal with eating issues, right? Well, Margaret Cho has been maybe not on TV as much as she was for a while, but it's still the idea that like when she was like really at her peak, she was on TV a lot, whether it was on the like Tonight shows and different stuff like that, or she had comedy specials, she had her own TV show. Yeah, exactly. So there's an opportunity there for that when she's up there and she's talking, if she starts talking about this in any capacity, how many people are watching? So there may be somebody sitting out there going, I'm not alone, and that, like we've said before, it's any chance for someone to poke a hole in that darkness and let some light in can make a huge difference, especially if it's instead of just one here and there, now it becomes, 10 or 20 or 30. And then it's like, next thing you know, that darkness is kind of, barely there instead of being all there, And it's, I know that's why a lot of people are doing it like her, that, how she's talked about it. And you mentioned Marilyn Hemingway and all these other ones we've mentioned. A lot of them have become somewhat of an advocate, and it's, it's why I said when we started this show that part of the reason I wanted to do this was I was tired of being told to basically, or feeling like I should be quiet about it or I should be ashamed of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I'm taking this thing head on. I'm going right into it. And if people don't like hearing it, tough, because we've all got things that when other people talk to us about them, that we're like, ugh, it doesn't matter who it is. There's always something, like that, so if people don't like it, oh, well, this is who I am, and,
exactly. And I always go back to the same thing that, my cats are part of who I am. My mental illness is part of who I am. Your kids are part of who you are. If you're going to tell me stories about your kids, I'm going to tell you stories about my cat.
So true.
It's, your kids are incredibly important to you and you're important to me. So I will listen intently and will make all the right noises and all the right emotions that need to be made. Yeah. And you're going to do the same as I tell you cat stories.
Well, listen,
because we love each other and that's what we do.
Well, listen, if nothing else, you have to understand. And if you're a person listening and you're like, it's not the same thing, let me explain to you why it is. Okay. Parents live for their kids in a lot of ways. Like not every parent, it changes. It's different with different parents. But they would do anything for their kids. Their kids are an important part of them because, they feel like they're literally a part of them. Well, animals for people like us are support systems. Okay, so there are times like if people have anxiety issues or panic attacks or those kind of things, or you're just depressed, sometimes it is amazing how much like a cat crawling up into your lap or a dog nuzzling your hand or something like that can make a difference. And that's why there's all sorts of studies out there about, people with depression and PTSD and all these other things that animal therapy has incredibly helped them. So next time someone starts talking about their cats to you or their animals, don't just dump all over it. Stop and think for a minute that this might help them function as a person. And it's a very important part of their life.
I would not be the person I am today if I did not have my animals with me, because they're the ones that keep me grounded. I love my support system, my humans that are around me, love them more than anything in the world. My husband, my family, my friends. But sometimes I can't, the words just aren't enough. I just can't deal with human interaction. It's human interactions too much. Even of the closest, most loved people in my life, I can't, it's just too much. but I can cuddle up with my cat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can listen to him purr, and I can pet them and brush them and hug them
and call them George.
Basically, Elmira. Call them George. I can hug them and cuddle him and squeeze them and call him George.
You hug him and cuddle him and squeeze him and call him George.
Yep.
Mine. Yes, and I do, and they squirm and they meow at me like I'm crazy, but they let me. They let me anyways.
Right.
But you know, and it's so important. They are my children.
Yeah.
You know, maybe someday if I have human children, not four-legged children, that, you know, things may change a bit. I'm sure they will. But for now, they're just as important to me as your kids are to you.
Well, and even if
it's not up to you to judge.
Yeah, and even if they're not as important or whatever, you know, it shouldn't, like, we're not trying to compare it in that aspect anyway. It's just they're important to a person. So if someone tells you something and you just immediately dismiss it, it's no different than you dismissing their feelings or those kind of things. It's just a courtesy, if nothing else, to not immediately dismiss when somebody talks about stuff like that, you know? I mean, don't get me wrong. We all know crazy cat people, but, you know, there's a difference.
I packed up all my cat things the other day. I have 3 boxes of cat figurines, plates, pictures, whatnots. And that's not including my stuffed animals. My stuffed animals are 2 bags full. So I've got lots of cat things.
I think what you just said, Brian, so important is that, you know, don't dismissing, minimizing, denying other people's actual experience and feelings. I see way too much of it today. I see it way too often. I'm not in that place any longer, and I don't want to be in that place. Yeah, that means I'm going to see some things that maybe I don't want to, and I'm going to be talking to people that, you know, I'm a little uncomfortable, but I would rather be a human being that can sympathize with my neighbor rather than be someone who just judges and dismisses them or objectifies them. And I think it's strange to think that a celebrity who has no, you know, celebrity, well, especially with what happened this week at the Golden Globes, there's an instant attack on the person. How can this person possibly know what it's like for the average, you know, what it's like to be the average person?
Yeah.
All right. So you're not addressing their point. You're attacking the person. And celebrity, average people want to be celebrities.
Yeah.
They always want to be celebrities.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually, you know, some people just say, no, I never wanted to. Not everybody does. But it's a common thread. It's the reason that we have celebrities. It's the reason we have the term fans.
Right.
So that person is in a unique position to reach out and connect. It's the one situation where, and this is where, like, my recovery rooms are so important. I sit down with celebrities. I know celebrities. I will sit right next to them. But guess what? When we're sitting together, I'm an alcoholic. He or she is just an alcoholic.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Like I was saying earlier,
and
we're all people. So, you know, yeah.
But that person has something that may be more attractive to me. If that gets me to go ask that person for a little bit of help because of their status, that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just means you're asking for more help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I think, you know, a lot of people say, oh, you know, celebrities need to quit talking about this or that. Well, if it helps somebody, if it resonates with somebody, then they should keep saying what they say. Mm-hmm. And maybe you should just keep your mouth shut if you don't agree.
Right.
And why are we judging them? And I have to ask that for myself as well, because I do it too. It's like, they're human. They're people. They were once everyday average people. You know, it may have been quite a few years ago, depending upon the celebrity, but they have been the average Joe. They may not be right now, though. Doesn't mean they can completely lose touch with that. Mm-hmm. And why am I discounting what they're saying based upon their career? You know, it doesn't take anything away from their feelings, their emotional state, what they're going through, their life. Just because it's different than mine, why am I standing in judgment of them? If somebody came up to me and said, I'm dealing with bipolar and I am, this is my life, this is what I'm doing, deal with it, like Carrie Fisher did. If someone just walked up to me, somebody that I knew in my life and in everyday situations said that to me, I'd be like, you go, girl, and proud of them and cheering them on, and anything I can do to help you, I can. But yet someone like Carrie Fisher does it, and there's people out there that are hating against it.
Yeah.
And it's like, if that was a person at your work, or if that's some person that you have contact with in your everyday average life, you wouldn't say these things to them. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't take them down and harass them and, attack them personally. So why do we feel that we can do it to these, these celebrities? And yes, they should be, applauded for standing up and saying things. And if their motivation isn't the right place, so be it. That's not up for me to judge.
Realistically, I think if their motivation's not in the right place, it'll come out in the wash. I think that, eventually people will sniff it out. And, and there's a difference, like Carrie Fisher's been on,
there's
on the soapbox about,
she's come from a good place.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, she's been advocating for it for years now. And, like, to the point that I understand a lot of people, they get annoyed by it because they feel like something's being forced down their throat. And it's like, you know what, though? Turn your TV on. Pay attention to how many celebrities are in commercials. They do this stuff all the time. There's a reason that people who are celebrities are used to sell a brand of this or that. And it's because people want to, like Heno said, people want to be celebrities. They want to live that lifestyle. They want to use the same things that the celebrities use. There's the same reason why in comic books, like when someone will watch an artist, they'll go buy all the same things that artist uses, even though it won't make them the same person. Won't give them the talent. It won't do the hard work for them that person's put into it. All it does is give you the same supplies that they used, but people do it. They always want to know these things. And it's like, so why, I don't have a problem with celebrities doing this. I'm glad they're doing it because I know what it was like for years and years and years to not feel comfortable talking about depression or anxiety or whatever, or even when I did start talking about it, the way people openly judge you and dismiss you while you're talking about it. It is so hard to do that. And I think that's one of the things that celebrity kind of affords you is that people don't immediately dismiss you in the same way. There's still going to be people looking to validate you, kind of a thing. So, or there's going to be somebody who's, this is a good story, and they'll run it because of whatever. And in the end, that's really what matters is just, helping people. It's why I've said, if you have a mental illness and you're comfortable opening up about it, do it. It doesn't, if it's in a group, to just another person, to doing a podcast, to whatever it is. I think it fights the good fight. And it feels so much better than bottling it in. So much better, And
those critics, I've been paying more attention to that idea that when I see people criticizing others, it says more about them than it does about the person they're criticizing. Yep. And I'm becoming a little bit hyper aware of that.
Yeah.
And I learn more about, if that person's trying to tell me something about somebody else, well, what they're doing is they're telling me about them. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of times, like if I tell you, what I was, that I went to work every day or whatever, while I was struggling with mental health and I, whatever, and I did my job and blah, blah, blah. Somebody might say, whoop-de-doo. But, you may find out that a particular athlete, did his entire career suffered from some sort of, mental illness, physical disability, something like that.
Yeah. And
that's impressive to people.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, wow,
yeah,
that person did this while they were, and you're like, it's somebody that you admire and it turns out that they had whatever.
Yeah.
And if that allows you to go, well, if they can do that, I can do something too. Whether it was like missing a part of their foot.
Yeah.
Dealing, struggling with whatever, anxiety or depression. And yet they went out and they accomplished.
Yeah.
They still did their passions, and that inspires some. And that is something that, for me to sit there and say, hey, I made it to work today, that might not get somebody off of their couch.
Yeah.
But when they find out that a celebrity did whatever, film their favorite movie while suffering from the same thing that they do.
Yeah.
Well, that might get them to, that's something that celebrity has that power.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it or not.
Yep. Well,
Exactly.
It's like, I remember years. Go ahead, Jen. Go ahead.
I've kind of turned a bit on this one. So, if the audience has been listening, from the beginning, I was a little skeptical about, skeptical. Anyways, you know what I'm trying to say,
Skeptical.
folks.
Yep.
So I was a little bit unsure about what was going on with the celebrities and some of them and their motivations and stuff like that. But now I really have turned that leaf over, and I really think that that I was being too harsh and I was being judgmental, and that's definitely something that I need to watch, because it's not fair for me to be judgmental of them just because of their status and where they're at in the world.
Well, I think part of it for me is because I was that way too. And I think a lot of it with me is I've switched it a bit to where it's more, it's more just giving people the benefit of the doubt. They may be doing it as an attention grab, might just be totally while I was doing this, I had a bout of depression. It'd be easy for, and I'm not trying to take a shot at any, creative outlet or whatever, but it'd be easy for a songwriter or an artist to say that while I did this, I was in a depression, or I was going through a heavy state of depression. It'd be easy to BS that and sell it, kind of a thing. And because it adds to the story. Like if it's a kind of a tragic love, like a love or an album after a breakup, and then the person comes out and goes, I wrote that and I was really depressed, blah, blah, blah. People are going to identify with it, and then it adds to the songs because people, it'd be easy enough to do these things. It's, same with art. It's easy enough to apply these things as your artist statement later because it will garner more emotion, because that's what you're looking for as an artist is more emotion or, emotion from someone. But at the same time, I think a lot of these celebrities really are coming out with the best intention in mind because, look, it may help their career. It may get them press or whatever. But then they also can just be more open and free themselves at the same time. So it's a win-win, So even if that is their motivation, I'm kind of like, what? In the end, it still kind of pushes the mental health agenda a little bit. So I'm on board, it still helps the cause, and, I think that's why I kind of turned around on it a little bit. Because there just wasn't very much. Like, I remember years ago, there was a second baseman for the Yankees and he played for the Minnesota Twins and I think some other teams. His name was Chuck Knobloch. And he was a pretty good player. I think he was like rookie of the year or runner up for rookie of the year. And, he was just a solid baseball player, and, then all of a sudden he could not make a throw to save his life. Like he was like just error after error after error. And it came out later that basically he had an extreme like social anxiety the pressure of performing basically was paralyzing him. Like, and he wasn't able to just trust his, cause athletes trust their muscle memory. A ground ball comes to you, you know what to do cause you've been through these scenarios millions of times, or thousands of times, whatever, you're an expert according to Malcolm Gladwell, so, and, you just keep doing these things. And he got to a point that he literally couldn't make a throw. And there's been pitchers who've gone through the same thing, and they were so ridiculed by sports fans and sports columnists and all this. Like, you didn't see really anyone coming out going, hey, this is a serious condition. Like, most people are just like, I can make that throw from second base. They don't realize having thousands of people in the stands and the pressure on you to perform at that level is not the same as you out in your backyard, but
right. It does make a difference for sure.
But now if you see stuff like that, you start seeing articles a little more written about, like, you'll actually even see, like, when sometimes the sports columnists, they'll talk about it and they'll be like, we're not sure if it's a social anxiety issue. Like, they're talking about it. It's now part of the discussion,
Right.
Like, is this a reason? Like, versus before it was just, like, what kind of idiot can't throw a ball to first base, kind of a deal.
Exactly.
Is the old meat.
Compassion and understanding is starting to take over.
Exactly. And that, like I said, I've seen that over the years developing, and that means it's moving the right way, because sports is generally one of the last places that people become more open-minded. It's a very closed-minded environment. So I'm so glad, because it's a weakness. Athletes don't like to admit any sort of weakness. So I'm glad to see that there's been baseball players coming out and talking about alcohol or drug abuse, their anxiety, their bipolar, their depression. Some have had, diabetes, and, like, they're talking about it because they realize there's other people out there who, when they hear that, go, oh, I can still do this and be productive. I can go, like Heno said, I can go out and do things. This doesn't stop me. There are people excelling, not just doing okay in life. Like, this guy's a Major League Baseball player. Like, he's in a tiny, tiny percent in his profession, to make it to that level. Even if he's some bum that rides the bench, he's still in a tiny, tiny percentage of that profession, because you still got to be good enough to be that bench guy and not the guy who gets sent down,
True. Very, very true.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think we've had a pretty good talk today about it, and come to some pretty solid conclusions. And definitely, folks, make sure you support everyone that's helping to fight the fight against mental illness. Whether it's people we know, people we don't know. Let's give them the support that they need, and be respectful of everyone's journeys and choices that they have to make in their lives. It's not easy to do sometimes, but I think it's incredibly important to who we are as human beings and who we want to be as people. So, and something else I want before we do our closing is I did find the passage from Robin Williams that just, it means the world to me. And I mentioned it when we first started the show, and it's something that I carry in my phone because it just means a lot. He said, I think the saddest people always try their hardest to make people happy because they know what it's like to feel absolutely worthless, and they don't want anyone else to feel like that.
Yep. 100%.
So it's something, yeah.
That is my motivation for, like, when people are going through something rough and I'm trying to make them laugh or whatever. That is exactly my mentality, is that every time I hear a person say that they have depression, it tears at me, because I know that fight, I know what that's like. And I don't, like I've said before, I would gladly take it all on for everybody if it meant no one else would have it, because it's just a horrible thing it's a horrible thing to hate yourself in any capacity, but it's a horrible level to where that's all you can do essentially is hate yourself, like your mind is completely turned against you. So yeah, just be aware of other people and try to listen I really think that's the big word for this year. You know, we were talking power words last week, and I think the big word for everybody this year should be listen. Not wait for your time to talk. Listen.
Actually hear
yeah.
what people are saying.
And process what they're saying. You know, don't just wait for your turn to bump your gums.
Absolutely. So, Robin Williams was a very insightful man, and it's sad that he had to lose his battle against his mental illness. And, you know, it is, we've lost many people, and as Henno has alluded to, you know, throughout the celebrity world and the personal world, we've lost way too many people to mental illness.
And addictions. Let's not forget that. I say and to addictions and stuff too, yeah.
Absolutely, and addictions. Mm-hmm. Do not want to leave that out.
Right.
So that being said, let's wrap up the show and let's let everybody know how to get some help. So if you want to contact me and reach out to me, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach me at Jen's Crazy Life on Twitter. You can also write us at the Crazy Life Podcast at Outlook.com. You can also visit our website at thecrazylifepodcast.weebly.com. And Henno, how can they reach you?
You can find me on Twitter at Ida Henno. Find me on Facebook, Henno Heiter, and remember, don't quit before the miracle happens.
Absolutely. And you, Brian?
You can also follow the show on Twitter to see when new shows go up at The Crazy Life Pod. You can follow me on Twitter at Stunami. You can follow my other podcast, Salty Language, at salty_language or at saltylanguage.com. You can find the show's Facebook group at facebook.com/group/crazylifepodcast. And, you know, on that page, there's a tab that says, I believe files or notes. I can never remember which it is. But anyway, there's a bunch of, I put various links in there of websites that I found or, organizations that help people. If you're looking to find therapists, they're great about helping people find like a sliding scale or what fits your budget kind of a situation. You know, cause I know that's a concern for a lot of people. So there's that, there's links to like the suicide prevention hotline number and other, you know, support type things that you can, if you're looking for something like that. Or just reach out to one of us and we can, you know, put you in, point you in the right way if we can. We're also part of the Tangent Bound Network, which can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com. And if you listen to us on iTunes, if you have time, please leave us a, review. You know, it helps people find us a little easier if they're searching, you know, searching the category or just looking at newer you know, different shows. Or same idea if you use Stitcher or whatever, however else you listen to us. If there's a like button, a share button, whatever it is, if you could, you know, please use that. And, you know, as we, you know, thank you for doing that, for taking your time out for doing that, because we appreciate everybody who's listening. New listeners, welcome also. You know, we forgot to throw that at the top, but, and then also I want to point out that we're not doctors, therapists, or trained professionals, and the show should not be seen as a replacement for therapy. If you need help, please seek out help. Don't fight this alone. Like there is, it's what it wants you to do, but there is no reason for you to fight it alone. There are tons of allies out there for you. You know, and I know the first step is so hard, but once you take that first step, people will help you on every step after that if you want them to. So, you know, reach out if you can. You know, if you are feeling desperate or you're feeling in a way that you're feeling suicidal, or if you're planning it, writing a suicide note, thinking about how you'd kill yourself, any step in that process, reach out to somebody, whether it's a friend, a doctor, you know, a support system of some sort. Or if you're at that point where you don't think you can be alone or whatever, call 911, tell them you're having a mental health emergency, call the suicide prevention hotline number, or text to 741-741, and I can't remember it now, and I feel like an idiot. I can't remember if it's help or if it's hello that you text to them. But it's on our Facebook thing, or if not, if you just search online, just type in 741-741, I'm sure it'll tell you. And yeah, I think that covers it.
Awesome. And thanks everybody. I was looking at our numbers the other day, and our number one show is now over 1,000 downloads. So we're 1,074 for our number one show, and shortly following behind it, we have a couple around 700s. Yeah. So thank you for listening, and thank you for helping us get the word out. We really appreciate it. It helps to validate what we're doing, and let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about. We'd be happy to answer any questions, or pretty much gear a show directly at you. Whatever you need us to do, we're here to help. We're here to be a part of your support system and help you in your recovery. So hold on,
before you stop there, I have one last thing I forgot to mention, which is the I've been saying it over the last few weeks, which is, take the time, reach out to somebody. Even if it's just posting a generic thing on your Facebook, your Instagram, whatever it is that just says, hey, if you're out there and you need someone, I'm here, kind of a deal. Or like I said, if you haven't talked to a friend in a while, or somebody has mental health issues, reach out to them and just say, hey, because you never know when that could save a life, or it might just make their day tolerable. It may keep them from going down a dark path, so, and it's, just be as compassionate as you can to others, and like I said, reach out if you can.
And with that, keep breathing. And I'm going to leave you with another musical song from the song stylings of Jen. I just called to say how much I care.